Welcome back everybody to the channel. It's me, Alejandro Mendoza, or the Nerd Chicano. Either way how you say it, it's all good here. And we're back again for another review as we look at another film in my collection. And today, things are gonna get a little weird here. But we're all adults here. Hopefully we are. And we can discuss a film like this. But today, I'm going to look at the Criterion Collection's release of Nagisa Oshima's In the Realm of the Senses. I hope this video finds everybody well. I hope you're happy, you're healthy, you're safe, and you're watching a lot of movies because it's a great time. I just wanted to quickly say thank you all so much for the love on the last videos, and I want to thank you all so much for watching them. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate anybody who watches these videos, and I have so much fun making them, so I hope you all have just as much fun watching them. Of course, if you enjoy content about physical media, movies, TV, any of those following categories, then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell when you subscribe so you don't miss a single piece of content that drops on the channel. And make sure you leave a like on this video because that helps out a lot too. Also, if you want to lend an extra helping hand, go over to my Patreon at patreon.com/thenerdchicano and check out the tiers for early access to videos just like this one and exclusives like video essays. But it's not mandatory, it's just appreciated. Either way, let's go ahead and get into this review of In the Realm of the Senses. So this is one of my blind buys from a couple of sales ago, and it's a film that has always interested me and I've always wanted to watch it. If anybody knows me in real life, or they know me through podcasts and stuff, I always talk about how erotic cinema is something that really interests me. I'm a fan of erotic thrillers, erotic dramas, and anything that revolves around sex really does interest me, and not in the way that you think. I know there's a lot of immature people out there who always just kind of link it to pornography, and I am somebody who just doesn't really equate films like this to pornography. Pornography only exists for a sole purpose, and that is to get the person off. You know, when it comes to movies like this, they're here to tell a story, to explain something about the human condition, which is something that pornography has absolutely no interest in doing whatsoever. So I bought this film and I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and we're gonna talk about it today. So as always, we're going to look at the introduction in the back, and then we're gonna look at the packaging to the best of my ability, because there are some photos that I can't show in the booklet on here, but we'll do our best. But without further ado, let's go ahead and look at this introduction on the back of this Blu-ray. In the Realm of the Senses by the always provocative Japanese director Nagisa Oshima remains one of the most controversial films of all time. Based on a true incident, it graphically depicts the all-consuming, transcendent, but ultimately destructive love of a man and a woman, Tatsuya Fuji and Eiko Matsuda, living in an era of ever-escalating imperialism and governmental control. Less a work of pornography than of politics, In the Realm of the Senses is a brave, taboo-breaking milestone still censored in its own country. And on this special edition Blu-ray from Criterion Collection, you get a new restored high-definition digital transfer of the complete uncensored version with uncompressed monaural soundtrack, new audio commentary featuring film critic Tony Raines, new interview with actor Tatsuya Fuji, a 1976 interview with director Nagisa Oshima and actors Fuji and Eiko Matsuda, and a 2003 program featuring interviews with consulting producer Hayao Shibata, line producer Koji Wakamutsu, assistant director Yoichi Sai, and film distributor Yoko Asakura. Deleted footage and a US trailer. Plus a booklet featuring an essay by Japanese film scholar Donald Ritchie and a re-imprinted interview with Oshima. This film comes in at spine number 466 in the Criterion Collection, And now let's go ahead and look at this packaging. So this is the front of In the Realm of the Senses. Film is released in 1976, and this is the back of the film. This is the spine. And then we're gonna go ahead and open this up, and you have a pretty decently sized booklet. Back of this booklet. Inside this booklet, of course, you get the essay, you get a reprinted interview with the director, you get some stills, some credits, cast, an acknowledgement, transfer notes, and you get this really interesting quote here from Nagisa Oshima. I'll go ahead and read it for you all since we aren't going to be looking at a lot of the inside of this, so at least I'll have something to explain to you all. The concept of obscenity is tested when we dare to look at something that we desire to see but bear forbidden ourselves to look at. When we feel that everything has been revealed, obscenity disrupts and there is a certain liberation. When that which one had wanted to see isn't sufficiently revealed, however, the taboo remains, the feeling of obscenity stays, and an even greater obscenity comes into being. Pornographic films are thus a testing ground for obscenity, and the benefits of photography are clear. Pornographic cinema should be authorized immediately and completely. Only thus can obscenity be rendered essentially meaningless. From Nagisa Oshima, from Theory of Experimental Pornographic Film in 1976. So of course you get some, here, let me see if I can find at least part that I won't need to blur out. I mean, here, I guess this is pretty nice. This is a pretty nice picture. There's one of the essays, and of course, you have just all the other stuff that's included in here. Here's Matsuda with a knife in her mouth, because that can actually be shown, but the human body can't. I will never understand why. But that's the booklet, and then of course you have your Blu-ray disc right there. At least that's blurred and I can show you that, but that's the packaging for Nagisa Oshima's In the Realm of the Senses. Now, let's talk about this film. This is not the first erotic film I've ever seen. This is not the first Japanese film I've ever seen, but this is the first time I've ever seen this film, and I've ever seen a film from director Nagisa Oshima. And I can only explain it as, for better or for worse, an experience that can only be measured in the way that one is going to react to this film. I've seen various films before. I've seen Nymphomaniac, I've seen Gaspar Noé's Love, I've seen Salo or the 120 Days of Sodom. I've seen films that truly do deal with this type of subject matter, and I have stepped away, loving some of these films, having a great appreciation for these films, and some of them have left me just shocked. And I can't say that In the Realm of the Senses left me shocked, but it did leave me desiring more from it than what I was given. I'll go ahead and get some stuff out of the way here. I feel that the performances are fantastic. The story that's being conveyed here works really well, and it's really interesting, especially when you think about the idea of obsession inside of a relationship as toxic as this one, and the way that sexuality is kind of used as a way to express that obsession is one that really does interest me when I watch this movie. But I think for a movie that is 102 minutes long, it drags out so much to the point that I was really lost within the story. And not in the way that I would have hoped to have been lost. But I don't know if that is because of the book that it's based on, or if that's because of the way that the script was written. But I just felt myself just lost here and really just waiting for it to get to the end, because a lot of the plot felt so redundant, and a lot of what was going on in the film felt like I already had seen it like 10 times before in this movie being hammered in. And even though there are aspects to me that are really masterfully done in this film, I couldn't get behind the pace of this movie. And that's not to say that I think that this is a terrible movie, but I think that it's a movie that needs to be experienced differently. Like, I need to actually sit down and probably do a cinema conditioned episode of this. This is a movie that I can just sit down and consume once and feel like I've grasped everything that's being said. And I think that it might benefit from that. But for now, when it comes to just the way that this movie plays and the way that it really felt for me as I was getting through it, I wasn't really like outwardly impressed with the film, but I was still fascinated by a good amount of aspects of it. Also, as I've said before, there's a lot of things I've seen, so I don't know if for better or for worse I've been desensitized to some stuff, but there was a scene that really stood out to me here that really did leave me uncomfortable. And I understand that this movie was mostly unsimulated sex and unsimulated action, and I would hope that the scene that I'm speaking about, that I'm not going to discuss in this video because I don't want to get age restricted and I don't want this movie to get banned off here, but I just hope that the scene I'm speaking about, that it wasn't real and that the person that was in the film wasn't actually harmed like that. Because I think that set safety is very important, and when it comes to harming especially minors, that's something that I can't get behind. And even though I believe that cinema is a reflection of life, and because it is a reflection of life, that everything needs to be shown in movies, I just hope that the way that this was shown was in a safe manner and not in a way that put the person in danger. But even though that scene was a little uncomfortable, it doesn't really take away anything from what I thought about this movie. It's just a concern that I have for it. And when I discussed this film, I really did think that it had a lot going for it, that it just didn't like completely hit the mark on. But I still appreciated the film, and I'm open to giving it another shot and actually consuming these special features this time and reading the essays, so that way I can get a good feel and a good understanding of the filmmaker that Nagisa Oshima is and just what he was trying to convey in this film. But also, if you want to go ahead and get some supplementary information about this film and listen to a really good conversation on this movie that actually really did open my eyes to a lot of what's being said in this movie, I really do recommend the podcast Girls Guts Giallo. Their episode on this film is really, really good, and it discusses a lot of themes that I'm going to go ahead and dissect the next time I watch this. And I just wanted to plug that in before we go ahead and talk about this transfer, because I think that that episode was really, really good. And I also just really recommend this podcast because I fell in love with it after watching this movie. Now let's go ahead and talk about the transfer. I watched In the Realm of the Senses on my Panasonic 4K player on my TCL 4K TV, and this is an HD resolution, and this is an HD restoration. It's not a 4K digital restoration, it's not a 2K digital restoration, it's just a 1080p digital restoration. And I've got to say, oh man, this movie has no business looking this good on my TV. So I'm going to benefit from that upscaling, and I'm going to guess that it is the upscaling that worked all the magic in this movie, because the various colors that Oshima is working with pop on my screen and they look beautiful. The skin tones look great. The snowy environment in Japan that you see in this movie looked fantastic. I mean, it registers so well with the white on screen, and I just fell in love with the film stock in this movie. Yes, you already just heard me say that I had problems with the pacing and the overall story about this film, but when it comes to In the Realm of the Senses restoration and visual quality, this movie is second to none, a masterpiece of visual performance. I have never seen an HD restoration look this good on my 4K TV before. I know that The Piano Teacher was also an HD one, but when I compare that film and this one, this obviously is the better one, and it looks really good on my screen. The high contrast, the regrading, everything works together to provide a really good look on my screen. And I've got to say that I was not expecting the film to look as beautiful as it did, but I was heavily surprised and heavily satisfied with the look of In the Realm of the Senses on my 4K TV being played through my 4K player. Now the audio is pretty much fine. It's nothing amazing. It's a mono soundtrack, so it's been cleaned up, but it's nothing that would be amazing like an Atmos, like a DTS HD. It works well with the video component, and that's all you can really ask for. I really like the score in this movie, and I really like the way that it was coming out of my my TV screen. I really wonder what this would sound like on a surround sound system, but I fell in love with the score in this movie. I think that's an aspect that really needs to be highlighted when discussing In the Realm of the Senses, because that score really creates the eerie feeling of this film. And if it wasn't for this really good mono soundtrack, I'm sure that that score would not sound as anxiety inducing as it does. Everything was pretty leveled out. Dialogue, sound effects, score, everything sounds great, and I really can't find much complaints with my ears, so I have no complaints when it comes to the audio restoration either. Even though you just heard me talk about this film, I can't say that I would recommend this film to anybody. I think that if you are up for the challenge, if you're up to see some stuff that's gonna leave you uncomfortable, I would recommend you buy this film. But if you're just getting into the Criterion Collection and you're really just starting to explore international cinema, I recommend you put this down. Don't pick it up, don't buy it. But if you're a seasoned veteran of the Criterion Collection and you've seen films like this before, probably more than me, then yeah, pick it up. But I don't think that this is a movie that you really need to pick up. I think that it's fine, it's a good movie, but it's nothing amazing. And if you just aren't comfortable with this type of stuff, it's just not worth buying then. At least when it comes to me, I think it was worth buying, and I don't hate it. I don't necessarily don't like it, but I just don't love it. And I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's great. But it's not to say that this is the first Criterion that I hate that I bought, because that's not true. I did like it. I just need a little bit more time and a little bit more discussions to really grasp at what Oshima was trying to say within this film. If you want to keep up to date with me on all things social media, make sure you follow me at The Nerdy Chicano on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and on Letterboxd and Serialized as well. I follow back on the platforms, and I just want to talk to you all about movies. Maybe we can talk about this movie. I don't know. Either way, go ahead and connect with me so that way we can talk about movies and get to know each other some more. Keep up to date with the Nerdcore by following us at the Nerdcore on Twitch and on YouTube. That's where you're going to be able to see our stuff. And on thenerdcore.com for reviews, interviews, and podcasts that you can all consume. We're doing some big stuff this year, so just go ahead and check that out, y'all. I would really appreciate it. And that's going to be it for today's video. I'll see you all next week when we look at a different movie. But in the meantime, let me know in the comments, have you seen In the Realm of the Senses? What do you think about this edition from the Criterion Collection? Do you like the films of Nagisa Oshima? What's the next film that I should watch from him? And just leave a comment. I want to talk with you all. I want to get to speaking about movies with you all. So if you don't mind, drop a comment down below and let's get to talking. But without further ado, to my wonderful cinephiles and renowned scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all on the next one, guys. Bye-bye.